Welcome along everybody. So today I'm going to be showing you how I made this card, which I've called How Did You Get Up There, for obvious reasons. And to make this card I've used a number of stamp sets. I've used the small pine branch in the hollyberry set. I've used the large, this large mum flower in the mum's garden set. This lovely little mouse here in the magical Christmas set, and in the amiable abode set, which I don't have to hand at the moment, I apologise, this lovely mouse here, which I showed you in the last video. Okay, so I'll crack on. Just to save a bit of time, I'll put a list of all the other inks and stamp sets and pens and pencils that I'm going to use in the making of this card. So I'll crack on now. I'm taking the Versacolor cardinal. Now, as you can see, I've masked down my card. I put a piece of masking tape here and here because I put a border on this card. And you don't have to do this, it's entirely up to you. And I've got just a ring stencil here, which I've also taped down because it's important this doesn't move, because I want to get the nice spherical shape. So I'm going to start by just putting a little bit of this cardinal on my baby white. Now this is a fairly new ink pad, so I'm just going to rub a little bit off onto this paper first. And then we start round the edges, making the shape of the circle all the way around. Just be careful at this particular moment not to go into the middle, because we want to sort of shade towards the middle and leave a little bit of a white patch. So we carry on doing that. And what's good with a bauble is if you make the outer edge darker, where obviously the light sort of hits it in the middle of the sphere. So if you make around the edges the darker shade like this, and then I think we'll just do a little bit more. Now, obviously you can do this bauble any colour you want. I chose red because I wanted it to stand out. Sometimes when you photograph things, sometimes the colours look a bit duller, so I wanted the red to stand out. But obviously you can do it any colour you want. So now we've got a nice sort of dark line around the outside. And then what I'm going to do is start shading up towards the middle very gently like this. And around the top like that. And can you see I'm just leaving a little bit of the white showing to sort of imitate the light hitting the bauble like that. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more red here. Like that. And then just even that shape up a little bit. Like that. And then look at it, I think probably just a little bit more around the edges. I think you get the general idea there. For the purpose of this video, that's fine. So I'm going to put the lid back on my ink, and because I've been using red and it's obviously quite a strong colour, I'm going to wipe my finger. I don't want to smudge my work. So now I can remove the stencil and just take the tape off. I say, if you're at home, you probably wouldn't have to tape it down. You could just hold it. But like I say, it's quite important that you keep that nice round shape like that. Okay. And then just to finish off the bauble, for now, I'm just going to draw a pencil sort of fit in. If you're not confident in doing this, then just do a straight line and a hook like that. Now I'm going to go back over that in a black fineliner because we're going to fill that in. in a little while. Oh, that's it. And then just try and keep the curve there. Okay, so that's our bauble done. Now I'm going to put in the floor. So I'm going to do this with a ruler because I want it to be straight. So I'm going to go about sort of there, I think, and turn the ruler around the other way. I've got a flatter edge there. I'm going to go about there to put the floor in. I don't want it too deep. So just make sure it's lined up right. I'm notorious for not getting the lines straight. I don't know why. Just make sure you don't go over the board when you're doing this as well, like that. And then I'm going to put another line in for the skirting board. Now, bearing in mind the perspective on this is not really right anyway, but we want quite a thick skirting board because we're going to put a little mouse hole into the skirting board. So I think that's fine. And then on the skirting board, we're just going to draw a little arch shape. Like that for the skirting board. Now, I'm going to go over that in black fineliner, but I'm going to wait until I've coloured it all first. And then what I'm going to do is just put a suggestion of floorboards. Now, you can measure this if you want to, but I don't think it really matters. We're just going to do it in very pale colours. So I think that's probably all right. Okay, so now we're going to colour in what would be our wallpaper. So I'm just going to take another little bit of masking tape because I don't really want the this colour to smudge on anything else. So if we just lay it along that skirting line there, and then we take a clean part of our baby wipe, and for this I'm using the Narcissus colour because I want it very pale. Now again, you can use any colour you want, but my suggestion for this card is keep the background pale because obviously our main feature is the bauble and the mice. So we don't really want a really loud, when I say loud, obviously I've covered it in great big flowers, but I've done it sort of shabby chic. You don't want really strong prominent colours because it will detract from the main focus of the picture, which is the mice climbing on the bauble. Now again, ideally you would probably leave this a little while because I think the red is probably still a little bit wet, so I'm working over, I might be picking a little bit of it up. So obviously just, you know, we always say, me and the design team and Wendy, just leave your work a little bit of time to dry. You're not in any hurry at home. Hopefully you're relaxing, enjoying your crafting and you're not rushing. So, and then I'm probably just going to add a little bit more. Because this is a pale colour, you have to sort of do this by eye really. Work out when you think it's finished. I'm just going to add a tiny bit more around here. I always tend to start in the same place when I'm shading, and what happens is I get a lot of colour in one place and not the other, so I think that's enough. Right, okay. And then we're going to take our lovely flower. I'll just bring this in so you can see. And then what I'm going to do is stamp it in the cardinal. Now, this is a very strong red, obviously, as you've already seen. So what I'm going to do is lay it off quite hard, and then you can test it. You see, that's the colour I want. So if you're not sure, just try it out like I just did first. So we lay it off quite hard there, and then we're going to, and I'm going to try to do half one there. And then I'm going to carry that on till I feel the wallpaper. Obviously we want the flowers in random places, and don't worry if the whole flower doesn't stamp out, because you know wallpaper fades after time, it gets knocked, it gets chipped, and that's the beauty really of doing something like this, that you want it to look a bit shabby chic. So That's my excuse to make it. Now I want to put the mice there, so I'm going to put this one here because I don't really want anything detracting too much from the mouse. And then we're going to put another one there. And to be honest, I think that's probably enough for the purposes of this demonstration. I might just do a little one right up in the corner there, just to sort of square that off a little bit. And maybe another one there like that. Like that. Okay. Right, so you get the general idea anyway. And then I'm going to remove this tape and then reposition it there on my skirting board. And then I'm going to use this bisque colour. This is Versacolor bisque, and just take a little bit on my baby wipe and just just wanted to make sure it's down, and then just cover the floor. Now again, it doesn't matter if a little bit goes on your skirting board, because skirting boards get grubby, get kicked. And I've actually, on the original, I've actually made, put a little bit of scuff mark on the skirting board, just to make it look a little bit more authentic. Now that's your base coat there. And then I'm just going to take a darker colour, a little bit of pinecone, which is obviously a lot darker. So I'm just going to, mine's quite old, so I'm just going to rub a little bit off. And that's it. And then just go over that bisque. Now sometimes the colours I've used for the ones I post on the Facebook page are different to the ones I use in the video, and that's quite often it's because one of my inks has dried up or I've run out. You always have to bear in mind with these demos, they're really to give you inspiration. So don't feel that you're tied to certain colours. You know, if you've got a very limited stash, you know, just make use of what you've got. They can nearly always be interpreted in different ways, in different colours. So, right, and I'm just going to do one more. Going over with that. And I think that's enough now. And then I'm going to take a chalk pencil. I think the other ladies in their demos, both Kat and Lainey, have showed you these. They're chalk pencils, which are pastel pencils, which are lovely because you can blend them. And what I'm going to do with this is just do some knot marks, and that's all I do. It's as easy as that. You just do them randomly, do a little circle and then pull it out either side, and then with your, just that roll off the table, and then with your blending, with your baby wipe, just blend them out a little bit like that. And then we'll have another one here like that. And then you can also go back over your pencil lines with this brown pencil, just to make them look more authentically like floorboards. Oh, just hold that straight, like that. And then I say, just blend them in. That's the lovely thing about these pencils, they sort of blend in nicely. Now, you know, again, this is the sort of thing that I would spend quite a long time just fiddling around with. I haven't got the time in the videos to do that, but, you know, you can spend time making it look as authentic as you want to. I think that's enough for the purposes of this video. And then I'm going to reposition my tape now on the skirting board, like that. And then I'm just going to go over the skirting board in the narcissus colour again, because not quite pale, but I want it to sort of be, don't worry about the mouse, I'll just cover it straight over. Try not to mix your red into it like I just did. That's because there's red on the masking tape. There, so we just want that to have a bit of continuity with the top. Like that. And I'm just going to remove that and then go over it to try and get that. Like that, and that's it. Like that. And I've just noticed a tiny little bit on my skirting board that is still there. Can you see? So I'm just going to go pop that back. Now, just be careful when you're doing this not to touch the bauble. In fact, you know, it would be sensible to mask it off in some way if you can. Okay, I think that'll do. So now I'm going to put my mice in. So I'm going to show you the reflection technique again here. I'm going to get a clean piece of paper in so I can actually put it on my work and show you. So first of all, we take our mouse that's going to stand on the bauble. I'm going to ink him up really well in Versafine Clair Nocturne. And then we're going to position him at the top of the bauble there. Press hard. Just let the ink absorb a little bit because we've just put the ink on. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this here so it doesn't smudge my work. I have a bit of just of the acetate sheet. And then you ink your mouse up again really well. Just put him gently. Now this slides, so just be careful like that. And then we're going to turn him, match a little bit of dust, and then match him as best you can. There. Take the heel of a pencil or a colour pencil and just gently transfer that onto the bauble. And I think that's probably okay. Now we wipe our acetate sheet clean because we're going to use it again in a minute. Just going to put that back there. We're going to take our second mouse and we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to stamp the mouse really well. And then he's going to be standing on the floor about here. So again, just press quite firmly. And then this time, I only want his head on the reflection. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a minute to dry. And I wouldn't normally do this, but because of that, I need to just dab it a little bit. That's it. Okay, so again, we put the reflection technique. So I'm going to give him a really good ink in. Like that. I'm going to bring in my acetate sheet. I'm going to place him on there. Like that. Oh, now look, that hasn't come out very well. So I think it's because I cleaned this acetate sheet with a microfiber cloth, but I forgot to dry it, which means that the ink's just slid off it. So I'm just going to give that a good dry and we'll do that again. So, okay. So we'll start again. We'll just ink him up. Make sure that feels dry, yeah. And then that's better. Okay, and because I just want his head really, I'm going to put this little bit of tape here. There, and we want him to, obviously you've got to work out where, so I think it will probably be about there, like that. Okay, so again with the heel of my pencil, there. So you've just got the top of his head because obviously the bauble's underneath, so you wouldn't see the bottom half. Okay, so now I'm going to shade in my mouse hole. So I'm going to use a black chalk pencil, and I'm just going to shade in the bottom here, and then dark black on the inside, and then just shade that in. Don't worry if you go over the lines, because we're going to put a white pen line around this. Now that looks a bit messy, doesn't it? But the reason is because we're now going to blend it all in. So I'm just going to put that under there and then blend it all together. Like that. So what you with the black, you're trying to create the feeling of depth in there. Like that. And then I say, take your time doing it, you know, spend a little bit of time making that look neat. And then we're going to put a black line around there first, a black fine line around there first, like that. And then I'm going to use my white Signo pen and just go back over that to sort of signify that it is actually burrowed into the skirting board like that. And then you can just, obviously leave that to dry, and then I would just run a little bit of dark around that to highlight it. And I probably will go back over that again in a minute when the ink's dried a little bit. So we'll just leave that to dry off for a minute. And then I'm going to put in my pine. So all I do for that is, put my piece of paper back in, sorry. I'm going to stamp in Versacraft pine. Now I've got a feeling this is a dry ink pad, yeah. So I'm just going to, well, we'll persevere with that. I should have made sure I had the new one, but I think it will be fine. So what we want to do is just put 2 bits of pine here, one there, like that. And then we'll have the other one just coming out from it, there. And then just give that another ink in. We're going to have one over here like this. That's it. And then underneath that, we just want to do a little bit of shading. Just like as if it was causing some sort of, I've just got to move my hand around here, sorry, like this. Move like it was casting a reflection on the floor. And again, take a clean part of your baby wipe and just smudge that. Like that. Obviously, wait till your ink's dry, because what will happen there is what's happened to me, and you smudge the ink. If that happens to you, don't worry. I mean, obviously, ideally you would leave it to dry, but all I'm going to do is go back over and stamp it again. Like that. But I think that gives you an idea of why it's quite important to give your inks a chance to dry in between. Okay, so now I'm going to place my ruler here, and I'm going to use a black chalk pencil and just, oh, that's too high, and just put in this line here where the skirting board is, and then again up here, being careful not to go near the bauble itself, like that. And then again we just blend that downwards into the skirting board rather than up into the wallpaper. And then you see you get these sort of marks that you would, you know, perhaps not that black, but you would get sort of scuff marks and things on a skirting board. Now, if you think you've overdone it and you think, oh gosh, look, that looks really bad, then all you need to do is get a little bit of the narcissus and just go over it again, like that. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back over with a, you see the difference when you let it dry. It's much easier to do. So, and as I say to you, you just have to sort of run these pens off sometimes. They get a little bit clogged in the nib. Okay, and then we're going to give our little mouse a shadow here. Again, in the same way, just smudge. Like that. And just a little bit more, I think. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of shading underneath the bauble itself, just to give a contrast between dark and light. So again, just be careful to avoid that green, which might not be quite dry yet. And then just blend that in. Being careful, try and keep it away from the bauble, like I said to you before. I think just a little bit more. Keep this in a curved sort of shape if you can. But it doesn't have to be very precise. Okay, I think that's enough. And then I'm going to take my Signo pen, run it off just to make sure the ink's flowing. And then we're going to put some reflection marks on here. We're going to put one here, like that. And then we're going to do two here, either side of this little mouse down here, like that. And then I'm going to take my silver Versacolor and I'm going to take a very fine paintbrush. Now, you don't have to do this with Versacolor silver. If you've got a silver pen, a silver Signo pen, Posca pen, you can do it with that. But I just got this to hand, so I'm just going to, and then very carefully go around there with that. And I'm not sure if this will work now because I've just inked that, but I'm just going to make those lines a bit more authentic like that. Okay, and then we're going to add a little bit of stringing that's going to go through the hands of the mouse, come down here, round our loop around our bauble, and then out the other side like that. That just again gives it a little bit more authenticity. I've just double lined that line, so I'm just trying to make it a little bit smoother. Again, I'd say take your time over these little details because it's the little details, I think, that make you keep looking at it. Okay. And I have a tiny little bird here, which I will put the stamp set in the comments because I can't remember offhand. So I will put them in we'll put it in the comment for you. But to be honest, you can use any little bird. And we're just going to sit him here on the little branch, watching what's going on there. Okay, now then, you know, when you've finished your work, have a look at it. And I think probably I would just add a little bit more of a dark line around there and along the bottom. This skirting board doesn't look quite straight to me, so I'm just going to try and even that up a little bit. And just like that. And then we'll just shade that down a little bit. And then the last thing on this card is I'm going to take my HB pencil and I'm just going to add some little dark strokes into the, in fact, I think it would probably take a black fineliner. So just to highlight this every now and again, not all the way through it, just every now and again to highlight this pine branch, these pine branches on the floor. And really the pine branches are there just to give you an idea. Obviously that is getting near to Christmas. And then I'm going to just finish that off there. And darken that line up there. And then I think we finished. Maybe a bit more. So there we are. Now, just move all my things out of the way and wipe my hands. That's it. And then I'll remove the tape. Now, I said to you in the last time, I like to put black lines across my work, and the last couple of times I don't think it's been really important to do that because they've been quite pastel colours. But this time I think it will look better if we just frame this work. So I'm just going to add, you've seen me do this before, you can do this with either the pencil or the fineliner. I think because we want quite a nice dark black line here, I'm going to use the fineliner. So because I never see things very straight, I'm hoping that this is in the right place. And then we're going to mark that across there. And again, if you're going over wet ink, leave this to dry a little bit because I sometimes struggle doing this straight after I've done a card because the ink's still a little bit wet. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. There, put that in there. And then we'll go back over it. Just do it again because I think I knocked it. Again, I'm rushing because of the video, but take your time. This is quite a nice way to frame your work. Now, there's a good case in point here because I've said to you on previous videos, if you make a mistake like that, if you do it wonky like that, there is a way to correct that. And I'm just taking a slightly thicker fineliner now. I'm going to put my ruler in exactly the same place as it was before. Just move that in a bit and then going to just fill in that, and I'm just going to go in underneath just to make that, even that up a little bit so it doesn't look messy. And it doesn't really matter how thick you do these. It's a sort of matte and layering technique with pen, really. And because I've done that at the top, I'm just going to add a little bit of a thicker line at the bottom to even it up. Sorry, I think you might be out of shot there. Just moving it back up again so you can see. There, like that. Okay, so that's the original. And that's the new one. You can see the original was a little bit dark around the edges. but it doesn't really matter. And just take your time, you know, with the little details. I've had to rush a little bit today, but I hope that gives you the general idea of how this card was made. It's a lovely little whimsical card, especially for a child, maybe for Christmas. Or if you just used a ball rather than a bauble, it would be a nice birthday card as well. Well, thank you for joining me, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration, and I hope to have you along next time. Thank you for watching.